On the Tunisian island of Djerba, a synagogue has stood on this spot for over 2,500 years. Around 1,500 Jews live in the country, most on this island. Jews mix with Muslims, Arabs with Berbers, in relative harmony. But despite reassurances from the new Islamist-led government, since the revolution last year, some younger Jews are doing what others have done throughout the 20th century, leaving the country. At a festival being held at the synagogue, I speak to Mehdi, as we'll call him, who tells me of the concerns the community has. His identity has been concealed.
Before the revolution, Tunisian people lived in peace. Jewish, Christian and Muslim and atheists. But after the revolution, the mind, we can say that was being different. We have the Salafists, jihadists, all of them.
This means Mehdi is taking a real risk speaking to me. Like the vast majority of Tunisians, he was born a Sunni Muslim, but he's now in the midst of committing apostasy, leaving Islam to become a Jew.
In my family, I didn't feel it.
I stayed don't believing in Islam. You have all the right to believe in the religion what you think the best for you.
He's no fan of the old dictatorship, but he has reason to be worried that mosques like this one, preaching puritanical brands of Islam like Salafism, are now on the up. Many minority groups and secular Tunisians are checking their surroundings. Shows of strength like this, taken at one of Islam's holiest sites, the Great Mosque of Karawen, would have been unimaginable before the revolution. Most Jews left the capital Tunis years ago. All that remain to use the stunning Art Deco synagogue are a handful, and since the revolution, a number of demonstrations have targeted and threatened them. These were the scenes outside the synagogue at the time of the uprising. Aggressive crowds who sent a shiver down the spines of Jews and other religious minorities. Now, amid a post-revolution debate on what it means to be a Tunisian, ultra-conservative Muslims, many operating as part of the broad Salafist movement, have become increasingly vocal after years of oppression. The government and police have often failed to crack down on religious demonstrations which have turned violent. Inside this church in central Tunis, a small Russian Orthodox community has worshipped for decades. Several times a week they gather in song. But after the revolution, the community was shocked by the desecration of its gravestones. And soon after that, a man visited the church and began smashing its crosses before others made personal threats.
Еще через 2 дня пришел этот человек и принес письмо, в котором говорилось о том, что мы обязаны снять всю христианскую символику, которая мешает правоверным мусульманам здесь, в Тунисе. Если мы не снимем, то они применят силу. Также было сказано, что мы обязаны принять ислам. Когда я спросил, если мы не примем ислам, то он сказал, что применят силу и мы должны будем платить налог в партию Аллаха.
He says his family, which lives on site, saw men circling the building at night before they found feces smeared on the walls. One man was sentenced to jail, security was provided, and the secular president in the governing coalition even visited the church, but his family was shaken.
Это было неприятно. Мы не знаем, сколько членов находится в этой партии Аллаха и какие у них намерения. Какая вероятность, что на следующий день не придут и не просто поубивают нас здесь.
Other Christian groups I spoke to refused to be filmed. Arab Christians told me off camera they feared repercussions if their faces appeared on television. And tucked away in the Medina, I met another minority facing new challenges. Stambali is a Tunisian take on a spiritual, musical tradition unique to North Africa, stemming from the beliefs of sub-Saharan slaves. Followers communicate with the spirits of deceased black African holy men via a chosen caretaker, in this instance Riyadh. But now, radical Islamists are scaring his flock from visiting the resident saint's tomb. Riyadh says fewer people are coming to visit.
مع البروبليم هذا والمشاكل هذه وبعد الثورة والسلفية والناس أصحاب الدين وهذا حرام وهذا حلال وهذا بدعة والناس تفتن وتسمع في كل شيء أما كان قبل الثورة من أحسن.
Those who practice Stambali are Muslims who often visit mosque as well. But now unwelcome visitors telling him what to do in the name of Islam are the new reality. And Riyadh doesn't want the new identity debate to sideline groups like his.
جاء برشا أما يدخل منا يخرج منا كما يقولوا ندوز يدخل منا يخرج منا هما مش كتاب ومش قرآن ولا نبي اللي يجي تلقانا نوسعوا بيننا خاطر ماك تعرفوا ساعة الباقي خاطر كان يجوش يقول أنا هو يقول إيه وأنا نقول لا وأنا نقول لا إيه وهو يقول لا يصير بروبليم تصير مشاكل ويصير توصل حتى لضرب ومضروب وشيء نحن نجنبوا الحكاية هذية ونقولوا أخويا كان بدعة خليها لي أنا بدعة وكانوا حرام أنا نعم في الحرام أنت يقع في الحلال وحاجة هذية ديما ونرجعوا اللي هو قبل كل شيء تراث بلاد.
But as Mehdi's keen to point out, the new groups who seek a caliphate with Islamic law have a very different idea of nationhood.
The Salafists want all of the territory of Tunisia became Islamic country, state. They usually forget that we have George, we have the Croatia, and the atheists.
Yet across Tunisia, conservative Muslims too feel demonized in a country fresh out of secular dictatorship which oppressed and harassed them for years. Many preachers refuse to speak on camera. Attempts to set up and film at mosques preaching a more puritanical message are rendered near impossible by their teenage followers. Fear of journalists, foreign or Tunisian, runs deep. So I'm keen to hear how non-Muslims would live under a religious state, and I meet with the Tahrir movement. Banned in several Arab countries, I'm told this party and the Salafists are unfairly stigmatized by a biased media. Under Tahrir's vision for an Islamic caliphate, provisions for minorities would make them better off.
لأن الدولة الإسلامية حتطبق الإسلام تطبقه على الجميع على أهل البلد بما فيه مسلمين أو غير مسلمين وتساوي بينهم في التشريع وفي التطبيق بل تزيد وتعطي لأهل الذمة أحكام خاصة فيما يهم زواجهم وطلاقهم ومطعوماتهم وملبوساتهم. هذه الإسلام أعطاهم محاكم خاصة أو وضعية خاصة لحل مشاكلهم في هذا الباب وفق القانون الذي يتبنونه هم.
To date, Tunisia's small number of religious minorities have coexisted well with the country's Muslims. Now, the head of the coalition leading Islamist Ennahda denies his party is soft on extremists, but Tunisia is in the process of building a democracy.
We have to dialogue with them to convince them that Tunisian is not a country for one party, Islamist party. It's country for all citizenship, whether Islamists or non-Islamists. So we have to accept each other and to work each other, to recognize each other.
For him, Tunisian Muslims should be proud of their country's record.
Tunisia is an open country, and the minorities in Tunisia are living peacefully.
Tunisia's been home to empires and peoples which have come and gone, from Carthage and the Romans to the Berbers, Ottomans, French, and of course Arabs. Each group has left its mark on this small corner of North Africa. Now its Sunni Muslim identity is likely to be further enshrined by democracy. Those swimming against the tide, whether born a religious minority or drawn to be one, will have to readjust to new realities.
When I will succeed to be Jewish, I think that I will say all of the Tunisian people that I became Jewish. In my town, for example, if they don't accept my new religion, I will look for a new home in another city. Of course, near a synagogue.
Just outside the capital, the ruins of ancient Carthage show how truths and certainties can so quickly end. Now, in turn, the society that was before last year's revolution is also gone. Like the Tunisians who voted them in, the new government and the modern Islamists at its fore are aiming to show their progressive, tolerant side. But to do that, they'll need to keep a lid on the few that would like to spoil the party.